Greetings, everyone, and welcome back to your improv brain. So let's get technical for a second. In any system, output is dependent on input. You put fuel in a tank, you eat to get energy, paper and ink into a printer to make a book, whatever. So, to pull specific and engaging and original ideas out of your head, you need to put information into it. So, when we struggle with creativity or ideas in improv scenes, we're often trying to fix a problem or create an approach or a strategy to improve things from the wrong side. So, to output ideas on stage more efficiently or better, you need to consider your input. So, in this episode, you'll learn why thinking on your feet might not be the goal you think it is, and how to get better at ideas using something you might already have a lot of: curiosity. By the end of this episode, you'll have a practical plan of action for making your scenes richer and more specific, the make and model of that car, and probably a lot less stressful too. It's what I like to focus on, and I promise that it doesn't require any memorization, recall, or money, because I suck at all those things anyways, too. Hi, I'm Jen DeHaan, and I'm an improviser and podcast producer at Stereo Forest. I have taught and coached improv at a few different schools, and I improvise in audio dramas that I make at Stereo Forest. And I share some of the things I do here on this podcast. So let's get started. But hang around to the very end, because I'll explain how this same principle is a great way to create really memorable and distinct characters, not just easily drop those clever lines into a scene. So let's break down the two ways that we generate ideas in a scene. The first is kind of like a forced retrieval. Your scene partner makes an offer, and you consciously scan your memory for some kind of good response. This is like an act of mental translation. You have to exit your character's headspace, become the improviser again, locate that bit of information from your life, and then try to shove it back into your character's reality and voice. It can be inefficient, and it definitely puts you in your head. The second, and in my opinion, far better method, is really passive in nature. This is when the idea just kind of appears to you. It falls out of your face automatically and in character without any conscious effort. And this is the goal for many. It was my goal for sure. So how do we end up with stuff that just comes out of our faces? And the answer is actually quite simple. You have to keep ingesting, pulling in all that new information during the week. You notice things, you think about those things, and you listen really hard. You get curious about things. And then that information, it just comes from whatever is happening in your life. This is very accessible as a process too. You don't have to go to new places. It doesn't matter what your job is or how much money you have or if you're an extrovert or an introvert. This process runs on two main things: experience and curiosity. And it can be anything. You could be reading a book. You could be reading some article about a new junk food that's online. It's watching some award-winning nature documentary, or it could be just watching a series of short-form videos about someone's highly specific special interest. It's having a conversation with a friend about their boss, or your own job or hobby, or a book club you're in, or some recent bike ride you took through a part of town that you've never seen before. You can sit quietly and you can remember new details from some strange family vacation you took when you were 10, when you freaked out about leeches at that lake. That one where all the very steep sand dunes went into the lake near the Oregon coast, and none of this could have been safe for a little kid, but your parents didn't give a crap, even though you really did because of self-preservation or something, but it was the 80s and it was different then. This is all raw data, but getting the data isn't enough. You have to process it. And that processing part is your own genuine interest. It's your curiosity. You gotta care about the data. That will show up in the scene, that caring. And when you stumble upon something like raising rescue goats, for instance, and it makes you go, well, that's weirdly interesting. That's the signal. So follow it. Ponder those rescue goats. Revisit the thought during the week. Search about them. Learn about that community. Become a 5-minute expert. Tell someone about it. Get used to letting that processed data fall out of your face. And each time that you do that, you're taking a piece of raw data and you're like rendering it. You're lodging it in your noggin. You're making it part of your readily accessible mental landscape. It's your noggin RAM. Are my nerds in the house right now? Yeah. Then that fuel will combust automatically when you're in a scene. It will happen without you thinking, just like you don't have to consciously think about the rules of a herald or the concept of yes and. After you've done improv for a while, you kind of run on autopilot. You know, those things are baked in. By really thinking about those things you notice during the week or learn or like, you bake in a ton of specific details, and those just come automatically to you when there's some trigger in the scene. Your scene partner mentions something, it comes up. So it's natural, it's automatic, it just falls out of your face. Oh, we're at a farmer's market. Rescue goat is somehow coming out of your mouth, and you have a bunch of other ideas in there too, because you ended up learning a lot about goat enthusiasts and their associated goat merch last Tuesday when you ran into those short form videos. This is how you get out of your head. You fill it with so much interesting, sometimes random stuff that there's no room for anxiety or what do I say next. The work has already been done because you were listening to your life and you were learning stuff all week long. To get a consistent stream of great ideas on stage, you just have to live a curious life while you're off it. Whatever your life is like, the time you have, the things you can afford. And if no one else will listen to your 5-minute expert info dumps, find a goat, because did you know they are highly social animals and rescues often make sure they're placed in compatible groups. They probably mean groups of goats, but maybe that's not where the scene ends up. Something I like to use to create memorable characters is coming right up. But first, if this video was helpful, let another improviser know about it. And you can leave a comment on this video if you're watching it as a video or in the Improv Update Discord about what are some of your favorite sources of data input, the ones that help you the most in your creative output. A link to the Discord is in the show notes or the video description, depending on how you're consuming this piece of content. Okay, so here's something I like to do when creating characters on the fly. When you become a temporary expert on something random, you get the start of an entire character. You can now embody the person who raises rescue goats. What's their point of view? How do they see the world? How do they live? What else must be true about this person? Even creating a mental image of what they look like, which is something you might have seen if you're watching a video, for example, can be incredibly useful. And you don't need to jump into stereotypes. It's best that you don't. And if you're coming from real life, the things that you're learning, it's not necessarily going to be a stereotype because it's real. See that rich inner life, the things that you're thinking, how you relate to that person, that community, you create a character that is specific and grounded and memorable right from the beginning of the scene, right when you put that hat on. Your input across a week or a month, it doesn't just give you ideas, it gives you people. And it can be much easier to improvise from that spot. So thanks for joining me today. I'll be back next Monday with a brand new episode. Bye for now. You have been listening to Your Improv Brain, a Stereo Forest production. This show is created and is written, edited, and produced by Jen Hahn of StereoForest.com. You can find show information, show notes, transcripts, and contact information at the show's page at StereoForest.com/ImprovBrain. Thanks for listening.